One of the questions was about marketing, and this goes along with sustainability and also engagement. With a nonprofit organization, back in my day, 20 years ago, it was called outreach and recruitment, and it still is, not advertising and marketing. For-profit businesses use advertising and marketing. Nonprofit organizations, the language is outreach and recruitment and retention. So if you want to incorporate a marketing strategy, there's different marketing strategies for the population you're trying to reach. So one population is your clients or your program participants. The other population is your volunteers, funders, board members, and staff. The terminology is outreach, recruitment, and retention. Outreach is when you are reaching out to people to tell them or increase their awareness about the programs and services and opportunities you have. Recruitment is actually getting them to want to be involved and enrolled to participate in your program. Retention is making sure that you capture and keep them to the end of the program. Also, that can be demonstrated in different ways. That's a good conversation piece when you're talking to funders. When you say that we started the sewing class or art class with 25 participants. We ran it for 5 weeks, and all 25 participants completed the program. I'm not saying that's a rarity, but however, you're going to have some attrition. You may start off with 25 people in your program, and at the end, you may only have 23. So you have to look at your program and evaluate your program and the success of it. And if you do have 100% every time, is it the secret sauce that you bring to the table, or are the numbers being skewed? So a lot of times people get scared when they apply for grants and get the money, and scared they're not going to reach their numbers, and they do things they're not supposed to do because they're scared that, or they're fearful that if we don't meet our benchmark deliverables, we're going to lose the funding. The details are in the data. A lot of times funders and statisticians and researchers can look at the data and tell whether data has been tampered with, because you're not paying attention to the data. Like when you're doing your passion project, always try to do a sign-in sheet, a sign-out sheet. Always ask to gauge whether they got something out of the activity. These questions and answers help you tell your story. And as you're talking to people about your passion project that you turned into a nonprofit organization, it creates a big picture, a pretty picture, a detailed picture where you're saying, I started doing 50 of these gift bags, and now we're doing 1,000 5 years later. And we've partnered with a couple of churches and local organizations and women's organizations to do X, Y, and Z. And then when you're able to show the data gets you financial resources and support. When you're looking at sustainable programming, you want to look at the data that you have, how long you've had the data, and then you want to look at other sustainable, relatable, collaborative opportunities that you can use the data with. For example, there was a dentist office, a pediatric dentist office that was struggling to maintain because the children grew up. What he could have capitalized off on, and I'm using this as an example, is how do you expand your services? What can you do with the current data? Children have parents. Was there any services you could have provided for the parents? I'm using the Overtown Youth Center as an example, in name only. You service organizations that work with youth. You have access to parents. Is there any low-hanging fruit that could be picked that creates another program? Or is your organization providing activities and services that's unfunded, that you've been doing because there's a need? And so these are the things that you look at when you're looking at how to build your program. Even if it started as a passion project, going to a nonprofit organization, there's all these different things. And what these activities are called programs and services. And programs and services are organized, and they have a start, a start and a finish. And people will fund it. People will support it. However, you must tell the story effectively. You must document it. You must engage people. Your board of directors must also do their due diligence and jumping on your tribe members. Your current tribe members may be your board members. It may be your blue team, or maybe someone that they know that will help lift up the story and share it. You have to give good instruction to your tribe members, to your volunteers, to your board members. Your board members are only as good as the instruction that is given to them and the direction to go. They need to be told where to go and what to do, not because they don't know, it's because you want to make sure that the message is being told the right way. It makes it easier when you give someone a script on what to say or what not to say, or know how to point and aim to prospect other people to help with the programs and services. Also, in your passion project going into a nonprofit organization, does your activity, your passion project, does it involve youth? Who is it serving? Make sure that as you're developing your nonprofit, that you reach out to the very people that you're passionate about serving and invite them to be an advisor, invite them or someone to be a board member. The best person to tell the story is the person that lived the story. Some of us are great advocates and great supporters and very empathetic. But sometimes, but most of the time, you need to hear it from the person that went through it. You may have created this breast cancer survivor activity because your sister or your mother went through this experience and it was traumatic and you want to help. Great. If not your sister or your mother, find a survivor to be involved with your organization to make sure that the integrity of what you're doing is still relevant. I encourage every organization to have a youth member involved in developing your organization, because we are not going to be here forever, and you want someone or someones to be able to pass the reign to. Also, now you just created a different type of funding source because now it's intergenerational. There's funding opportunities and programs that find it very favorable when you mix the generations, the young people with the old people, the seniors from high school and the seniors on the other side of AARP. So there's all different ways to be able to take your passion project to the next level. Let me do a time check.